Kevin Gullickson of Radio Drive. Mark 2.0 starts now. Thanks so much, Kevin, for
Ooh,
coming
Kevin,
on.
thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Of course,
So
I'd like
guys.
to start out because you're in Minnesota. What the music scene is like in Minnesota, and do you perform at any live venues with everything that's going on in your life?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, to take it back to the 80s, the music scene here, we had Prince. A lot of big bands were on the scene in the 80s and 90s. It was really a rocking place. And it's kind of, settled down a little bit, but we still got a lot of really good music going. I've played in different bands throughout the cities, played the main stage at First Avenue. We won like the Battle of the Bands for the month, and played the main stage, along with a couple other bands at the time that have actually made it quite big, Gear Daddies, and a band called Trip Shakespeare. Dan Wilson from Trip Shakespeare went on to create Semisonic, and has had some amazing hits as a songwriter for Adele and Philip Phillips. I mean, a lot of really big hits. Nowadays, of course, it's a thriving scene. We got more bands than clubs, so everybody's beating the doors at the clubs to try to get in and play. I actually started playing the clubs again back in 2020, but then a couple months later, COVID hit, everything shut down. So I haven't actually, got the guys back together again to start playing the club since 2020.
And I noticed your latest videos are kind of more like a solo with like a storyline and some actors, which is really cool. What kind of goes into that? I mean, how long does it take to get a couple of like one of those done?
Well, I'm thankful to say I'm skilled with video editing. So some of those I put together myself. Some of them I partnered with this film crew out of Venezuela. We connected, and I can't remember if it was through Fiverr or one of those online communities, where you can hire people for services.
Yeah.
They've done some really good ones. So those videos where you see like these beautiful beaches and these gorgeous dark-haired men and women, that was his bits,
Oh,
so
that was a good workaround. I like that.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah. Some of the other videos, I've been very creative in finding talent, at a, how shall I say it without sounding cheap, at a very low price. Because I remember one of my first videos, I spent like $1,600. It's like, okay, that's a lot of money. So the video for Taste of Heaven, I worked with this video editor out of Russia. My son with an iPad filmed me. We got some stock footage, sent it to her. She put it together. $200 is all it cost. One of the videos was rather creative. I connected with this guy in Alexandria, Egypt. And it's basically him just driving down the street. I imagine somebody's driving and he's filming. I hope he's not doing the same, both at the same time, but he's just driving down the street in Alexandria, Egypt, just filming different scenes. And it oddly enough fit the one song, New Direction, perfectly. So a lyric video done by this guy out of England. Again, I think that was about $100. So yeah, one of the last gigs we did, a friend of mine came with his film crew and filmed it. So we had a lot of footage that we used in some of the more recent videos, like Run is one of them.
Great.
Yeah, so, talk about Run. I love that video.
Where'd you get all those kids?
Thank you. Yeah, so that one, I mean, I'm so blessed. This guy, he filmed it for free. He filmed the show for free. Sadly, the audio was just awful, so we couldn't use that. So I thought, well, let me see what I can do with the film footage. We got some stock footage of these kids. I can't remember if they're in Belfast or London or somewhere over in Europe, and just put it together, and it worked perfectly. That one actually won an award with the ISSA, International Singer-Songwriter Association. So I'm really pleased with that one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you always been pretty much like alternative rock?
I'd say so. It's funny because I'm always at a loss for describing my music, but so I kind of have to use 3 categories: alternative pop rock or just alternative rock. But I started listening to the Monkees and the Beatles at a very young age. Absolutely love
yeah.
pop music. You know, short songs about 3 minutes, 3:30. Catchy melody, riffs. Um, I love classic rock. I pretty much listen to Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep
Oh,
Purple,
yeah.
all those heavy bands all throughout my teens. And then, kind of after I graduated high school, I was getting into kind of the British new wave, alternative music, U2, The Cure, David Bowie, a lot of that. And of course, more recently, Coldplay and of course, Foo Fighters. So quite a blend. There's just so much in there that I couldn't just call me like alternative or just rock. It's, and that's just me. Everybody's kind of got their own perceptions, but
And I've always used that term, and I was getting ready for the interview and I'm like, how did we come to that word?
yeah.
Because here's why, because I was on like a construction site with headphones on the AM dial. Because that's the only way I could listen to The Cure, because everybody else was jamming Metallica over there, right? But
okay.
this was an alternative for me, and it always
Yeah.
made sense, and I'm like, how the heck do we even arrive at that name? But
I know, isn't that funny?
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, nowadays there's just so many genres and people having blends of genres and stuff. And of course, back then, The Cure couldn't make it to mainstream. And it was not too long ago, I'm in the grocery store listening to Cura's Muzak.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how did that happen? So,
And I'm saying, Mark, the jellyfish. He's like, who? And I'm like, well, you had to be during that time.
yeah,
some of them made it,
exactly.
some of them did not. There were
Yeah.
all a lot of greats, but
I know it. Oh man, I know it.
Mark, you were going to ask about.
I wanted to ask you, how hard is it to get on the indie rock stations? Because I saw on your website that your songs made it to the indie rock stations across the world. And did you have some countries where you were bigger than other countries?
Yeah, well, of course, I've been, doing this for quite a while and kind of gaining momentum, gaining a network of people, different people and companies that help with promotion. Some are just worthless, I'm sorry to say, but others it's like, hey, they're getting results. I'm going to keep working with these guys. And so, and then of course, I just have my own personal list of contacts at various stations around the world. So when I come out with something new, I'll send it to them, and they're wonderfully gracious to add it to their playlist. A couple other outfits that I've been working with recently, submitting music on your behalf to a lot of these places, because it can get a bit dicey to put together a email list, like on, what is that, MailChimp, I think, or whatever that is called. Boy, do they ever have the rules and regulations. I mean, they don't want you to spam. So you can't upload a list. You got to have their permission to send them an email. And, and these people who receive a spam email, they could press charges if they really wanted to get serious, so it's like, I just don't want to bother with that.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets a bit dicey. So I've worked with some really good people who've gotten my music all around. Even just this week, a station out in Connecticut, I think some community station is going to add my songs. Another station out of the UK, I think another community radio, going to add my songs and stuff. So, yeah.
And you had like a couple of awards, right? I mean, congratulations again.
Thank
it was
you.
like the Hollywood Media Music Awards, right? And the Global Music Awards. So what did you do to be considered even for that? What was that process like?
Yeah, I'm really thrilled and just kind of beside myself. On my website, I have a page with the awards, and I mean, it's almost getting embarrassing, it's like, wow, I think I have, is this enough? I don't want to be greedy here, but so, so basically, a lot of these places you submit your music, or somebody submits on your behalf. And some of them have a panel of judges, quite impressive list. Others, I'm not quite sure the process, but sometimes, I'm not selected, and sometimes I am. So I'm just thrilled at the momentum, really.
That's cool. Just you sharing that. People are probably maybe not even aware of such a thing.
Yeah.
that they could be
Yeah,
considered for
absolutely.
that. So anyone can be considered, right? You just do the right, follow the steps and all that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just do a search, Indie Music Awards. You're going to see quite a few
Mm.
popping up. Um, and some of them are really awesome to where they actually have ceremonies like the Hollywood Music Awards out in, Los Angeles, Hollywood, obviously. I've been there a couple of times. Spectacular event. They've held it at the Fonda Theater,
Oh, yeah, I
which
know
is a
wherever that
really,
is.
yeah, you guys know the place. Yeah. Really cool event. The ISSA, International Singer Songwriter Association, they're out of Atlanta and they
Oh,
just had
wow. Okay.
an awards out there and nice theater and everything. I wasn't able to fly out there. Just cost prohibitive here. It was this year and airline tickets are through the roof.
Oh,
So,
right now, yeah, of
oh
course.
yeah. But
That's
yeah, and then
awesome.
some of them are just online, where they just give you a certificate, um, and kudos and things like that. But it certainly is an honor either way.
That is awesome what you did. So since you have such success, everyone wants success like you. What would you, I almost am going to ask you what's the key, to your success, but I saw your 5 things I wish someone told me video.
Oh yeah,
So why don't we
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
merge that with the question and kind of briefly touch on those things, because that blew me away, dude. That's really insightful stuff. That is very important message to get out to the younger generation. So thank you for that.
Funny thing with those 5 things, I learned each of those the hard way. Um, I've like I said, I've been at this for quite a while, and I've made some really really stupid mistakes. I'm thankful to have bounced back. I think the biggest thing is to not be caught up with fear, which leads to desperation, which leads to some really bad decisions, which leads to a lot of loss. It almost sounds like something Master Yoda would say, I'm not going to embarrass you with my Yoda impersonation, but just,
I love Yoda. I
oh,
love all
yeah,
Yodas. Yes.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, fear leads to desperation, which leads to just kind of these bad decisions,
The
and
dark side. It does.
the dark
Mhm.
side, exactly,
Yeah.
and so if you just stay calm and cool and just focus on writing good music, don't be concerned with comparing yourselves. That's another huge one. Don't be competitive, be creative.
Mhm.
Have a creative mindset, not a competitive one. And just focus on writing good songs, good music. With today's internet and Spotify and all of that, you can get your music out there. I believe that if it's good, people are going to start listening, and you do a little bit of promotion and stuff certainly to get things out there, and you're going to get some traction. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing.
It's phenomenal advice. And they might even have a little bit of advantage that we did not have back then. It was record
Yeah.
label or nothing back then.
Oh yeah.
God bless them out there. They
Yeah.
can do it, and that's
Yep.
really sound advice. I could have really
Sure.
used that video a long time ago, Kevin, truly.
Yeah, and another thing too that I learned again the hard way is taking responsibility for where I'm at.
Mm.
And making the best with what I have, because I had worked with some really good producers over the years and spent a lot of money. And it's like, I was saying, okay, I don't have the budget for that anymore. What am I going to do? Well, boy, I can't do anything because I don't have A, B, C, D, you name it. It's like, well, you're limiting yourself. So stop and think, what do you have right now in your hands that can get you at least maybe to the next step? So
Mm.
it's like, well, okay, I've got a home studio, I've got recording software, I've got my guitars, and I can start here. It's like, well, do it. Just start where you're at. Maybe it's simple, but hey, it's something, And one thing, when you start doing that, you kind of start getting that traction and momentum. And I came across this amazing online community called Air Gigs.
Mm.
Now, these are people from all around the world, talented musicians, engineers, producers, you name it, whatever you need. You can find somebody at just a variety of prices, $10 to $200 for laying down guitar tracks or doing drum parts or whatever. So I came
This is
across
good
some
stuff,
amazing
guys.
people.
Everybody
Yeah,
out
it
there,
really
you know,
is great advice.
people look in here, and we've got these kids doing all their digital stuff like that, but you are
Yeah.
really where the rubber meets the road. If you
Yeah.
really want to, you know, right now, get going right now with what you
Yep.
got, you know, and build up to where you are. You started back there, and
Yeah.
you're putting them on
Yeah.
the right road. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's really cool.
No, I appreciate that. No,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, so with air gigs, I found some incredible people to do the mixing and mastering of my songs
Yeah.
for what I think is super cheap. I mean, the last release, One Breath Away, worked with this guy, Steve Migliori, I think. He goes by Mr. Mig, so I know him by Mr. Mig. But he's worked with Justin Timberlake,
Wow.
Taylor Swift, Beyonce.
I love
I mean,
them.
super inexpensive to hire him. Now, don't quote me on this, those who are listening, but I don't know if it was like $300 a song, you know?
Wow.
Which to have that kind of world-class talent mixing and mastering your song, lending his expertise, that's incredible, you know?
Wow. We may have a team, you know, that helps
Yeah.
him too, you know, and he can really just give a solid hour to it and really just
Oh,
make
yeah.
a killing as well. And you're getting it
Yep.
at a good, man, digital times are cool.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, and my previous record, I actually have a copy here, this
Ooh,
Nice.
Before the
Yeah.
Day is Through.
where do we get one of those?
Yeah.
Where can
Oh,
you get one? Right on
well,
your
it's-
website there, of course.
Of course, digital download only. I had some promotional copies made. Sorry.
Mm.
Oh,
That's
I
okay.
see. It's fine.
That's all right. That's
Yeah.
nice looking though. Yeah.
I'll send you guys. I mean, afterward, offline, just give me your address. I'll send you a couple.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
nice.
Yeah. We got
Yeah,
a shirt
we'd
for
love
you
it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one
Beautiful.
here, I recorded during the social distancing during COVID. So
Oh, yeah.
again, I had a
Okay.
home studio. I could squirrel away, but I took advantage of the talent and air gigs. And on this album, I hired a drummer out of Italy,
Hmm.
a cello player out of Venezuela, a violinist out of Russia, backup
Awesome.
singer out of Italy.
Wow.
Took all the tracks, mixed, did the initial editing here, mixing them all in. Final tracks I sent out to Brendan Decor out in California. He won a Grammy working with the Foo Fighters, won an Academy Award on a Disney movie called Soul, I think. Put it all
Yeah.
together, absolutely phenomenal to have all that talent mixed in. So it's, you know, and here I am, it's just me at home. Again, going back to what I said, what can I do with what I have right now? And that was what led me to the next step, and then finally, you know, doing this full-blown album here with people from around the world and having a Grammy Award, Academy Award winning engineer put it all
Yeah.
together.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure
Wow.
you didn't know you're going to end up with people with these kind of credentials. My
I know.
goodness.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a secret you just let out right
I
there.
know.
That
There
is
you
a
go.
good one.
It
Wow.
really is.
So,
So
yeah.
who influenced you back in the day? Who did you listen to? Who were your influences?
Oh man, so many. Of course, when I was a kid, like about 7 years old, I was listening. I hung out with some friends who had older brothers, and they're listening to like the Beatles and the Monkees, you know, and so I got into that. And then a little bit later, of course, Alice Cooper was my first heavy kind of record.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yeah,
from
and then
Phoenix,
Black
so
Sabbath.
He's out here. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's in this area.
We
Yeah.
know him well.
cool.
Yeah.
And then of course Led Zeppelin. I was totally blown away by Led Zeppelin 4. I probably just wore that record out listening, and just so many artists. And I even had a mellow side as well. I love Donovan. Do y'all remember Donovan?
Yeah. Okay.
Mm,
Kinda. I
A
saw
little
it.
bit. Yeah. I know
A
the
little bit,
name.
okay.
It's,
Yeah.
what were some
Well,
of his
so-
hits?
Well, he was a folk artist from the 60s. He actually hung
Yeah.
out with the Beatles.
Do that.
One of his biggest songs is called Hurdy-Gurdy Man,
Hmm.
Sunshine Superman.
Okay.
Oh, that
yes,
I
and Sunshine
recognize.
Super 9. Yeah. That's one I recognize.
I'm gonna know if I hear it. If I
You
hear
would
it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
The cool thing, Jimmy Page was a session guitar player starting out, and he played on a couple of albums, or maybe one album of Donovan's and John Paul Jones, actually, from Zeppelin. A session man played. So I think the song Hurdy-Gurdy Man has both Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones playing on it.
Oh my goodness.
Really cool guitar solo, tasty, simple solo, but it's Jimmy Page, right there in Donovan. And yeah, super cool, but mellow stuff. And then of course, again, like I was saying earlier, in the 80s, I just fell in love with whatever came out of Britain, the Cure, the Clash.
Oh yeah,
U2.
same here.
Oh man, love that stuff. Yeah.
It was a great time too, because it was always a small venue early on that you were seeing your idols. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing like the live performance.
Not at all.
Well, what about your live performances? Give me something that stands out in your mind recently, and then give me like an all-time favorite, something like that.
Well, okay. So, as I mentioned, back in 2015, we were playing a lot, and I'll back up to that to answer the second part of your question. But I took a hiatus for a while. Late 2019, kind of, got the engine going again. The guys back together. We rehearsed. 2020, we started playing the clubs. Had quite a lot lined up. COVID hit, everything shut down. Yeah. I did some house concerts from my home studio here, kind of played along with some backing tracks and things. Haven't really done any live performance since, because I was immersed in that album Before the Day Is Through. That was almost a year in the making. And then, boy, that was all pretty much 2021. And then, all the clubs are booked out like 6 months in advance. So I thought, okay, well, that's when I started working on One Breath Away. It's a 4-song EP. So, but I do have plans to get the guys together again. But to answer the second part of your question, one of the highlights, back in 2015, when the band was really playing a lot of clubs here, we were in the finalist of the Hard Rock Cafe Battle of the Bands here in Minneapolis. That was fun. We were playing the Mall of America Hard Rock Cafe. That was my favorite gig. Just a blast.
I've been there. That place is outrageous. Yes, there's a roller coaster in that damn mall.
Yes.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
I did spend some time in Minnesota. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about your album Before the Day Is Done? Go into detail making that, and give us some of your favorite tracks from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in my studio here, I'll typically start off like, as I write the song, I get the idea in a number of ways, maybe just a flash of inspiration, one line, and then I'll try to capture that maybe on my iPhone if I'm not here in my studio. And then I start constructing the song around the bit that I have, maybe I've got a chorus line in my head. So I'll start with that and then work on maybe the verse and the other bits. Usually the piano chords first, or guitar chords, and then I start building the parts. More piano, guitar, rhythm guitar. I do have software for MIDI drums, which I use as a placeholder until I have, my, I call him my Italian session drummer, do his parts, so just to keep the song cohesive, and then just keep adding layers to that. I'll do some initial editing just to make sure everything's tight. But yeah, so it's just a lot of time involved in that. But again, the beauty of having a home studio, I can do this anytime. In the winter, I live here in Minnesota. It gets very cold. It's dark at like really 4 o'clock, and it's like below zero. I have no desire to go out.
Oh, so yeah, I'm from Michigan. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I hibernate in my studio. I have weekends where I'm just down here like 10 hours each day, cranking away and just working on this. So I guess as far as like my favorite song, it's hard to say. I love Led Zeppelin, as you know. I did a cover of Thank You.
Wow. Okay.
That one I just really thought, okay, I really have to nail this because it's a pretty bold and daring attempt to cover a Zeppelin song, at least in my opinion. If you're going to do it, you'd better do it right, or you're going to be, it's not going to go down well.
I'm glad you did it because you love them and it was important to you.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I'm pleased it went over quite well. I won an award for best pop rock cover song for that. And then, I apologize. I can't remember what radio station or, Indie Music Alliance. It was #1 on the charts one particular week. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. But one of the songs that really, really touched me, I think, was Let My Love Be the Proof. It was written around the piano, some kind of minor chords. The lady that I hired over in Russia to do the string parts did a beautiful job, as well as the guy down in Venezuela doing the cello part. I love their bits so much so that on the album I have kind of I don't know how you call it. What do you call it? Like an unplugged version where it's just piano and strings.
Nice.
Oh yeah, like it.
Yeah, just to showcase what they did. It was just so amazing, So yeah, that song, I think, again, kind of going back to the 5 things I wish somebody had told me, it's really about putting your priorities first. Like one of the lines is, I took my eyes off the prize. Like when you get caught up in like the pursuit of a goal, whether it's a career or this or that, sometimes you can be like a bulldozer and just kind of bulldoze over people.
It's true.
And it's not pleasant, and
No.
you get your priorities out of shape. And I kind of see that as like, well, you took your eyes off the prize. My wife, it's like she's my prize in the song, certainly. And it's like, I can't lose perspective on that. What good is succeeding without the ones that you love to share that with? So,
yeah,
that's kind of what the song's about, so.
I like that. I like your song In the Now. That was kind of, you were kind of talking about that before too. And yeah, you got a lot of great videos.
Thank you.
You really do, yeah.
And Run was cool seeing your band on stage, jumping around, hopping up and down. If you could be on stage and you could have someone like come out from the crowd, like a special, someone you love to come up there on stage, who would it be?
Are you talking like anybody? Like
anyone? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a time machine and
whatsoever.
everything. Yeah.
Wow. Boy, 2 people come to mind, if you don't mind me saying 2.
Please.
Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney.
Sure.
And Jimmy Page.
Wow.
One
You
of
know
the
those 2.
or both.
Yeah, there
The
you
Beatles
go.
are so great.
Yeah.
I know my youngest has friends who just like their Beatles are like their favorite music.
Nice. I
And
love
they're
it
like
how the younger
10.
generation is picking up on that. I love it.
Yeah. What do you use to get your music out there? Like, is it social media or Spotify mostly? I mean, what is your big hitter when it comes to pushing a song out?
Boy, that's a really good question. Kind of on a side note, and I'll answer this too, but I just want to take a little rabbit trail here.
Please.
Since we're talking about social media.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a really big following on Facebook. I had it all connected with Instagram through this Facebook Meta Business Suite. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
My account got hacked.
Oh,
Somebody, what they did is they hacked into my account, made themselves an admin for the business account, posted something on my personal account that shut me out.
Wow.
Like they broke the terms of service.
Yeah.
Oh
that
my
you violated
God.
the community standards.
Oh,
So your account is now
Oh my God. I'm not even
suspended.
going to ask what it
Jeez.
was. Go on.
Oh, who knows? But so I'm shut out. This guy has free reign to the business account and he starts running fake ads.
oh,
Thankfully, I was quick enough to, cancel the PayPal, instant pay for any ads that I run on Facebook. So I would get these emails, your ads are under approval. It's like, what ads? and then your ads are approved. It's like, oh no, please. There's no way to reach Facebook.
Mhm.
I did everything I could. So anyway, eventually, long story short, I just gave it up and started a new account. So my Radio Drive Facebook only has about 20 likes, 20 followers. So prior to that, I was in the thousands.
Jeez.
So that's kind of, done for. So I've really been focusing more on Instagram, I think.
Okay.
So Instagram is what I've really been pushing, of course, that and Twitter. I have great success on Twitter, connected with a whole lot of people. So I'm really kind of pushing toward those two, to promote. I have worked, well, actually, I've hired a PR agent who actually connected us, thankfully.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank them.
Olivia
Yeah.
Long. Yeah. Thank you,
Exactly.
Olivia, for
Yes,
setting
thank
up
you.
this
Yes,
interview.
kudos. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even over the years, I've come across people who have done very successful promotions, and I'll go back to them because I've had good success, good results,
Smart.
and work with them. I've had others with terrible results, so obviously, they're through. I'll never work with them again. But again, you just kind of get your network of successful people. You surround yourself with them. Each new release, you just, ring them up. It's like, okay, there's somebody to do social media management a while ago, or to help promote this album.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great, nicely done. I mean, you've gone through
you.
all the hoops. I mean, the trials and tribulations. So you've certainly earned it.
Yeah.
So do you have like anything like Patreon or anything like that set up to where people can like join a fan club, and do you take donations and stuff or anything?
I did try a GoFundMe a long time ago and didn't have any results with that. And I know people on Patreon, and I've actually supported people on Patreon. I guess I could certainly consider that. I really haven't, but always a good idea.
So you have t-shirts and stuff that are people can check out, and that's all on your website, right?
I don't have any merch yet. I don't. I'm kind of behind the game
Okay.
on that. I'm doing so many things, juggling this and that, and I
For your
got it. That's something
YouTube.
I really got to do.
Yeah, your YouTube channel, it got a good amount of subscribers. You obviously did your we know how hard that is. So congratulations there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that'll continue to grow. And I advise everyone to get over there. There's good advice, there's good music, there's all kinds of stuff over there. So go check it out. Yeah,
Thank you.
it was really a lot of fun.
And how
Cool,
often do you
cool.
put out those music videos? Because I saw you on your website that you put out a string of them in January, right?
Been about 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here again, it was, the album, I'd finished up the album. And, without a band to rehearse, do things with, I just thought, okay, what do I do next? And okay, let's do some videos. And so I got me a green screen backdrop, and my daughter's really good with photography. She, did some filming, and then, dropped me in on some background scenes, and again, worked with that film crew out of Venezuela on some of the videos, and downloaded some stock footage on some others, and just did a ton of editing. So it kind of goes in spurts. I cranked out a bunch late last year. So it's just all kind of depends. I think I've got over 35 videos now on my YouTube channel.
They're unique too. I like the one with the big TV and then the little TVs on the side.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
great ideas. Everybody,
Oh,
I
thank
mean, we
you.
got a
You
lot
really
of
do,
we got a lot of
yeah.
musician
Thank you.
people, and they're gonna go over there and go, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna steal that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
but no, it's really really been great watching your channel. It's fun. It was
Cool.
really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the future? Where are you going now? What do you want?
Yeah. So kind of a funny thing, I connected with this guy. We've been in touch for a long time over in London. He's with a music licensing agency, and they of course place music in movies and TV shows. And we've been in touch over the years, and he reached out and asked if I had any music from like the 80s and 90s. And I said, I do, but it's on cassette tape. The sound quality is awful. he said, well, let me have a listen. So I, bounced them down to my computer as a WAV file and sent to me. I said, yeah, I like these two. Do you think you could clean them up? Yeah, okay. So I've been cleaning up 4 songs, acoustic songs that I did way back, back in the 80s, 90s. And
Kind of
I thought,
rewriting
well,
them.
actually, no, I'm just taking the original recordings and cleaning up the audio.
Oh,
Because
goodness.
I have some really good software that restores sound, like these, equalizers where you got like this really nasty, sibilance, that's way high up there and like 10K. You just dial that in and get rid of it.
What if they say, dude, we need you to reproduce this?
Oh, yeah. You get rid of all the noise and the hiss, and you add some warmth to it. So that's what I've been working on, that project. I'm actually going to release, I think, as a 4-song acoustic thing, but I'm going to sign a contract with this company, so they're going to license a couple of those songs. So that's what I'm working on now. And of course, I'm really itching to get the guys back together again and start playing more gigs.
Yeah.
Winter is approaching. Again, like I said, I hibernate, so I'll probably start working on some more music, I'm sure. Maybe crank out some more videos. There's always something to do. I have so much to do with so little time.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Now, as a fan of the Monkees, did you ever see them in concert? Because I saw them in LA. I forget, it was an iconic venue right before Davey died.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I had the pleasure of seeing them a couple of times. When they first reunited, it was Mickey, Davey, and Peter. I saw them, and then I saw Mickey and Davey in concert and had the pleasure of meeting them afterward. And,
wow.
Yeah, I kind of visited with them.
I've tried to get, him or his sister. I've seen his sister too. She's really good. Coco Dolan's on the podcast, but it's just, one of those falling through. I really think that they are somebody who should be in the Hall of Fame. What do you think? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of got a bad rap because, when it came to light that they didn't write and play their stuff, it just kind of hit the fan.
But then Mike Nesmith changed that when they were playing. Yeah. They were playing their own instruments. He fought for it with NBC when the show was on.
Yeah. So, I mean, the funny thing is, like, you think of a lot of these bands, like, I don't know if Jackson 5 was big at the time, but they just sang. They didn't write their songs and play instruments. Of course, they didn't put on, like that they did. But the funny thing is, the Monkees were a TV show, actors pretending to be musicians, but then they kind of became musicians,
Well, even the Beatles loved them.
Oh, yeah.
They got together. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was, I can't remember what year, but they were outselling the Beatles at one time.
Wow. I believe it.
They were huge. Yeah. Huge.
This is fascinating. Who doesn't love the Monkees? They actually outsold the Beatles at one time.
I never knew. I remember when they came back in the 80s.
That's cool.
I met him at a car. I met Mickey Dolenz at a car show when 84 or something. And I remember like the MTV Video Music Awards, they performed I'm a Believer, and they came out with a new album. They were huge then. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Peter Tork, after the Monkees broke up, Peter kind of had some rough roads ahead of him, and he put together a band and played small clubs. And I actually went to see him at the small club outside of Rochester, Minnesota, where I grew up.
Wow. Okay.
And I hung out with him before the show, and super nice guy. We talked about the Monkees and just all kinds of stuff. The movie Head. Super nice guy.
Wow, you got to hang out with Peter Tork. Wow.
Yeah. Yep, that was fun.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a good story. That is a great story.
It really is.
Well, I had a great time today. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. Mike, did you want to ask anything else?
No, hey, Kevin, we really appreciate this. We'll throw out your social media on the description, and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, just so our listeners know, YouTube is probably the best place to get to know you and your website, right? YouTube and your website.
Yeah. Certainly the website, there are links to, Spotify.
Yeah, I got all of his links. I'll post them in the description.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's good.
Email them.
All your videos are on your website too. right? All your
yeah.
videos are there.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, links and everything. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
Sure.
great,
absolutely,
great.
Yep.
That's great.
Well, everybody get over there. Get over to the YouTube channel. There's fascinating insight
Yeah.
and great music. I highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun today on that channel. I had a lot of fun talking to you, Kevin. Thank you so much for being
Yeah.
here. Everybody like and
thank you.
subscribe and give Kevin some love down below. And
Yes.
Yes.
you know what, Kevin, come right back if anything happens. Love having you
Exactly.
again.
Yes.
Thanks
thank
so much,
you,
Kevin.
Mark,
This was a
Brian,
lot of
thank
fun.
you.
Thanks.
I had a
Take care,
blast.
buddy.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thank you,
night.